Welcome back. We will now proceed to the first session on the topic of looking ahead, research and impact of MIT Portugal flagship projects. On stage, we welcome Sérgio Tavares, Research and Development Specialist at EFASEC, Marco Granja, Senior Manager at NOS, José Freitas from the Space and Maritime Security Unit at Edisoft, Gustavo Diaz, CEO da Stratosphere, João Negrais de Matos, CEO da DS Telecom. Joining us by video conference, Rui Costa, co-CEO at UBWare, and Catarina Pinto, R&I Manager at Zenit Wings. They represent the 7 leading companies of the 7 awarded flagship projects under MIT Portugal. To moderate the panel, Isabel Furtado, the Portuguese industry representative of the MIT Portugal Governing Committee.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for the invitation to be here conducting this panel of the MIT Annual Conference, in a completely different context. And as the title itself says, Research and Impact, the title of the conference, which is Research and Reflection Amid Adversities, and we are in strange times, or at least different times, to do this. As we all know, this new program, MIT Portugal 2030, much centered on the 4 areas that will be discussed here today, wishes to go even further than previously. Not just by strengthening skills, entrepreneurship, and R&D capabilities of the Portuguese companies, but also aiming to place these same companies in the epicenter of international partnerships, promoting global research and development activities through the interchange with well-recognized American universities. In order to achieve this goal, the new phase of the program was designed to give our companies the task of promoting network and collaborative projects backed up by Portuguese R&D institutions and taking the advantage of the very well experienced and knowledgeable American universities. The MPP 2030 will focus on completing a process of transitions from the initial model, much based on the Portuguese university approach, to a further and broader ambition, challenge the companies towards leadership of processes of modernization, reinforcing the innovation ecosystem. In line with these projects, it was intended to support projects led by national Portuguese companies in co-promotion, that is, in sustainable collaborative platforms with national academic entities, involving the participation of at least one principal investigator from MIT in one or more of the strategic areas of the MPP 2030. Being so, 4 flagship projects were announced by the Agência Nacional de Inovação, our Portuguese innovation agency, earlier in April this year, and very recently 3 more projects were funded. The 7 projects, the 7 flagship projects that will be presented here today, account for an investment of nearly 15 million euros, representing all of the MPP 2030 research areas involving several partners from industry and academia. So with no further delay, I will ask each one of the speakers here to give us a very short briefing, and I ask you not to take longer than 5 minutes each on the 7 flagship projects. So we'll start with, I think, yourself. Please let me ask Sérgio Tavares to give us a very short briefing about the flagship project of Transformer 4.0.
Thank you for the introduction. Good morning and good afternoon. This project is about the digital transformation. This digital transformation is not just digitalization, it also aims to change the process and to change the different approach that we use during the life cycle of our product. This project is focused on power transformers. Power transformers is very old machine and very ugly, but they are essential to the energy networks, are the core of the most energy networks, and this project will address a digital twin, full virtual representation of the behavior of these equipments. So for that, we start to look on different approach to digitalize the behavior, includes the modelization of different multi-physical process, and to collect data and information during the whole life cycle. That includes during the design process, during the manufacturing, during the assembly, and so on. And this data can be from the operators, can be from sensors, or can be from feedback of different stakeholders related with the operation and the manufacturing of the power transformer. This data can provide different analytics to improve our process and give different information and insights how to operate and to optimize the operation of these transformers. This project is comprise different research centers in ESCTech, and inside in ESCTech we have 3 different centers. We have INEGI because we consider also the additive manufacturing that can result the way that we manufacturing these systems. This can give very high flexibility to improve the different parts that are composed the power transformer, because the materials that we adopt have different specifications that are difficult to change the manufacturing process. Some of this manufacturing process are more than 40 years older, so we can improve the way that we manufacture these systems. So INEGI will address the manufacturing using additive manufacturing, for instance, for Cooper, for the different parts of the power transformer. Also, we have the MIT. At MIT, the center is the System Engineering Center that will allow to address different approach, holistic approach based on system engineering, like the model-based system engineering, to improve the architecture for the digitalization. In this way, we can create an approach based on model-centric, where the digital twin is the center to collect these different data and to analyze the different inputs that will allow to improve the product design. And this is an overview of this project that started in July of this year.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to Marco Granja. Could you give us, again, a 5-minute briefing, please? You have a stopwatch right in front of you.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it. Okay, it's there. Okay, CTEC is a project. It's focused on an area in which NOS has been investing quite a lot in the recent years, that is smart cities. So the origin of this project, so it comes from, it derives from a previous R&D project developed by MIT and ESD regarding the analysis of the energy consumption of buildings based on the 3D shapefile of the cities. There's a technology that MIT has been investing in the last years. I don't know if you could just change a little bit the slide. And the objective was of going through that previous research how could we expand existing models of analysis of the energy consumption of the buildings according to the climate conditions in which they are involved, and how could we add the impact of human behavior inside the buildings, okay, and in which we also expanded between the buildings. So we wanted to add the human behavior inside the buildings, and at the same time to bring, apart from the energy efficiency of those buildings, the component of mobility. So we formed a consortium between MIT, EST, that already participated in the Search City program. Then we added SEA, that is an institution quite focused on mobility, and also Nova MES in what regards to all the data science. And Nova MES, a part of the data management, basically will try to take advantage of all the data that we are going to collect, not only energy data, temperature data, city conditions, mobility data from NOS, and try to create value out of that data apart from the specific objectives that we already defined in the project. Then NOS is the partner in the project that will try to base it on its investment in mobility analytics to add value to the previous research, and then to bring these products to the market. That was something that in the previous project that was quite focused on research, didn't have industrial partners, didn't happen. At the same time, we chose, and it was part of the strategy, to bring the municipality of Lisbon on board in order to have an area to implement and to test those solutions and to bring them to life. Okay. I know you can just change a little bit. Okay. So this is the presentation that that I was speaking about. We have the city, we have the 3D representation of the city. Then our objective is to enrich the model with the human behavior inside the buildings, and then expand to the people between the buildings. At least the way we frame it. But it's basically to bring mobility to this component. So. The objective is from this project, to come out with different solutions. So this is a project of about a €3 million budget. It's a quite large project. So, but it's also very. It has several objectives. So if we can pass to the next slide. So we expect at least to come up with 5 different products mainly driven towards municipalities. Urban planners, basically in 3 dimensions, in the dimensions of mobility, in the dimensions of building renovations toward energy efficiency, and also a component of food production in terms of vertical production of agriculture and in buildings as a mitigating factor to energy usage. So this is the area in which the project is going to be tested and implemented as a pilot project, basically in the area of Parque das Nações, Marvila, and Beato, in which this is the area in which the 3 or 4 different models that we are now developing, they are going to be tested with real scaled solutions.
Thank you very much. That was perfect. I'll now ask Rui Costa to join us. Can you put Rui Costa, please?
Hello.
Hi. We can see you.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm representing UViewer. UViewer is the coordinator of SNOB 5G. SNOB 5G is related with wireless backhauling for 5G and 6G networks. And what is this? So in order for the city infrastructure to connect equipment, devices, cars with very fast, fault-tolerant and low latency networks, we need a backhauling that gives us this type of requirements in terms of connectivity. So the most prominent technology, most current one, is fiber optics, but it's really expensive. So we intend to have a wireless way of connectivity, and in these terms, there's no need for excavations. We can reach significant reduction in terms of deployment of these 5G networks. At the same time, these networks should be self-optimized. So what today is called zero-touch networks. At the same time, it should be scalable, and we use mesh technologies to make these networks very flexible. The consortium is composed by UBWare, by Instituto das Telecomunicações, specifically the pole of Aveiro, the Coimbra University, and of course MIT. From the MIT, we work with the networking or network coding and reliable communications group that is mainly focused on these matters of maths applied to communications, working at TRL, technology readiness level, lower than the Portuguese institutions. Professor Muriel Medar is leading this group. So and right now we are working on developing, on specifying use cases focused on these main requirements of resilience and fault tolerant networks. So I believe that next month we'll launch our first joint paper. So all the four institutions, and right next week we are starting to deploy the first pilot. So here in Aveiro, where UBWare is mainly located, where we have our headquarters, and so it will be connected with a very big infrastructure that is being deployed by the municipality, by Instituto das Telecomunicações, and at the same time with the Universidade de Aveiro. So it will involve the demonstration of different verticals, specifically on the mobility domain, and well, we'll focus on the infrastructure and on this wireless backhauling that is self-optimized and gives us very low latency and high-speed connectivity.
Thank you. I think we'll ask Catarina Pinto to join us as well. She'll be talking about digital transformation in industry. Catarina?
Yes.
Yes,
Good morning.
perfect.
Are you hearing me? Yeah. Okay. So I'm here representing Zenitwings, which is the coordinator of the operator project. The operator project ambition is to innovate on the way we are digitally transforming our industry. So our aim is to take equally the three dimensions we consider are the most important on this process. So productivity, ergonomics, and the cognition. So the current approaches are only focused on productivity and ergonomics in some way, but the cognition, the mental well-being of the worker is not considered. So we want to innovate this approach by gathering and crossing quantitative and qualitative data to get a richer picture of the worker well-being. The project is mainly based on the combination of three main innovative aspects. So positive ergonomics, operator 4.0, and job quality indexes. And for implementing the project, we consider two main use cases, textile and automotive industries, which are represented by Auto Europa, Volkswagen, and NST Apparel, which is a textile industry. These are, in fact, two of the most important industries in Portugal, and since they are facing an increasing competition from emerging markets that not only have less labor costs, but are increasing also its quality, it's important to make a shift from mass customization till from mass production till mass customization. So this is our main focus on the project. We believe that getting these two industries in the project will increase the probability of the market uptake of these kind of solutions that at the current stage are not really being considered in many industries. And our aim is to, the concept of operator 4.0 is precisely to put the operator, the human, in the center of the design process. So we consider that by doing that, by having a participatory design of the project, we will increase the willingness of these workers to participate in this industrial transformation. In one concerns the consortium, so we are coordinating. We have also other company which will exploit together with Zenitwings the project outcomes, which is Control Consul. We have Fraunhofer Portugal. We have also universities of Porto, Minho, Nova, and from the MIT we have the Institute for Medical Engineering and Science, which will play a key role on validating the clinical aspect of the project, so the component of the health-being of the worker. So I think this is the main picture of the project and our focus.
Thank you very much, Catarina. This is the only lady on the panel, so I'll get back to stage now, and I'll ask José Freitas to give us also a brief presentation.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to greet the MIT Portugal community, the panel, and all audience present or remote. So the AEROS is a space project. I think we are one of the, say, almost outsider, because it is both air and ground. It is a group of 12 entities, so we have industry, academia, and have national international partners. So we have Edisoft, which I come from, and we're the leader, but also SEIA, Spinworks, DFS, Universidade do Minho, Universidade do Porto, Universidade do Algarve, Instituto Superior Técnico, and also the international partners, IMAR, the Air Center, and MIT Portugal. Sorry if I skipped anyone, because I had to read through the logos. So what we're doing is building a precursor of ocean monitoring constellation. Why a precursor? You could say, well, we've seen so many news about satellites, Copernicus being launched, or what is new? Well, first of all, is the new space approach. As of recently, we used to get, for Earth observation, satellites big, so 1 ton or bigger. So these satellites may take up to 6 years, to 10 years, and they cost 100 million euros. Then we start having smaller satellites, which still would be 4 or 5 years, 10 million euros. Obviously, you can have less satellites with this. Now, what we are proposing is a satellite with an instrument for ocean color detection. I think it was very well explained what is the purpose of ocean color monitoring. Also, ocean surface and height, and also monitoring of autonomous vehicles. So autonomous vehicles in this case are tags that are attached to animals, peacefully and ethical. And the animals are, we're talking about sharks, turtles, birds, this kind of thing, that they are on the sea. Sea, in this case, is what we're interested in, and they collect a lot of data. All these things exist, but sometimes they're either cumbersome, or they're non-integrated, or they're simply not cost-effective. Our approach is to use a nanosatellite, and for the ones that I don't know, a nanosatellite, we use a CubeSat 3 unit, and it's about the size of a milk carton, 1 liter milk carton, so this big. And we can put all those instruments there, I can assure you. And this takes about, I think our project is 3 years. We intend to launch it within the second year, so we're talking about late 2022, early 2023. So from 0 to satellite on orbit, we're talking about 2 years. What we aim to demonstrate is using these sensors. We develop a new innovative onboard computer which aggregates more than one function into one board, so this saves weight. We're using additive manufacturing for some of the payloads. Again, easy, cheaper, less weight. We'll use a data center which will use top of state-of-the-art models, ocean models, climate models, artificial intelligence, big data, etc. The output of this service will not be only scientific, there will be there's a business model behind it, so this is a sustainable business that we are developing here. We are aiming to prove that with a constellation of 10 of these satellites, we could have a revisit time of the same spot in every hour instead of 2 days. You can imagine how frequent we can make this. You would just multiply the cost of satellite times 10. It would be still smaller than a small satellite. An interesting thing is the approach, because we are developing this for the Atlantic, and it makes sense to develop something for the Atlantic if we have the right Atlantic partners. We have the 2 sides of the Atlantic, so we have the MIT Portugal, we have lots of institutions here in Portugal, but we also have the Earth Center, which even federates more institutions for both sides. And the way we think this is an Atlantic approach. So there's Atlantic interactions, there's the blue growth, etc. And what we will develop here is a system which is not for sake of technology, but to be an active actor in the society. Without going too much into technical details, this is it.
Thank you. So we'll now go on to Gustavo Diaz. Would you please?
Thank you very much. So a little bit about NewSat. So NewSat tries to bring new approaches to the design of satellites and the technology that is around that. So is based mainly in 3 tech streams. One is focused on the satellite itself and the way that should be designed, in the way that there is a very robust and focused system engineering of the satellites. And when we are talking about that, we are talking about propulsion systems to put the satellite in the right position, a new approach to the structural design of the satellite, mainly based to be produced by 3D printing technologies, and also everything that is needed to fastly to improve and to go from the initial design phases to full satellite produced. So one of the tech streams is focused on the physical asset itself, how to produce and how to design a small satellite using different approaches and different technologies. The second stream is also very important for us, is focused on the building of what is called, and we see here another example, digital twins of the satellite. The idea is to mimic the behavior of the satellite in operation, but not also that, to help the design of certain aspects that can be mimicked by a digital model with the high level of physics behind it. So this is one of the other tech streams that we are focused. And another aspect that is quite important to the project is the development of other building blocks that are sensors. And the idea of those building blocks is, of course, not to be focused on us in this specific satellite design, but to be able to have solutions for other programs worldwide that are based on those sensor technologies. So the sensors that we are talking about are sensors that will measure the environment of the satellites around the satellite or around the satellites that constitute the constellation in terms of what is around it and what are the characteristics of the environment around the satellites. So these free text streams will give in the end mainly two main demonstrators, or three main demonstrators. One is a breadboard of the satellite itself, produced by these new technologies and designed with this new approach of systems engineering. The second will be the prototypes of the sensors that will be produced at the prototype level. We don't have the ambition to launch, but we have the ambition to have a good contribution in terms of technology improvement. And the third outcome, will be the digital twin of the satellite that will mimic the behavior of the breadboard. So the objective is, of course, to increase the readiness level of those technologies and to aim for future products within the company. So the consortium is led by Stratosphere. We have two major RTD institutions, INEGI and INESCTEC. We have, of course, a strong involvement of MIT. And we have also an innovation. We feel that there is a lot of IP to be managed from this project. And we have involved an IP firms, which its specialist to manage IP, which is Clark and Maudet, that will accompany the project through its execution from the start. So in a nutshell, it's NewSat.
Thank you very much. And now going from sky high to deep sea, I'll ask João Negrais de Matos to give us a brief.
Thank you. I'll try to set out the framework and briefly explain our project. It was not arranged, but I have to thank the keynote speaker because he made very clear the explanation of my initial statement, which was that oceans today I believe to represent the most important contribution to the balance of the Earth. And so I think he showed that pretty well, which saves me a lot of time. In that ocean, in the ocean, although it's the most important, it's probably the element that we have least information about. And under the ocean, we have an enormous amount of fiber optic cables, which were and still are the cornerstone of globalization, worldwide communications. Most people think that satellites carry most of the information. Actually, no. 97% of the information is carried in submarine cables. And it started off more than 100 years ago with simple communications, which then evolved mainly because of financial evolution and financial transactions. And different financial centers had to be linked so that financial transactions could occur. And more recently, with the cloud coming as strong as it is right now, and the new trends regarding streaming and social networking, the enormous growth of traffic has made a huge impact on investment and new players coming to this sector. And these submarine cables, although they are no hazard to the environment, they are deaf and blind and don't help at all scientists and researchers to find answers to all the questions we have seen raised today here. And there's already initiatives ongoing that we could use these submarine cables and use the repeaters of the submarine cables that basically repeat the signal and extend the length that the submarine cables can cover by placing sensors that can measure temperature, pressure, or acoustics. And these sensors should have little or no impact on the telecommunication operation, require no special handling, and be reliable. And our project, and to get to what is the goal and the objectives of our project, that comply with the sustainable development objectives of the UN of climate action and oceans, is to develop a system composed of different electronic components with the repeater, also with autonomous underwater vehicles that can communicate to monitor and collect extensive and complete data from the oceans, and doing this at reasonable cost or controlled cost. This information can then be combined with the acoustic information and environmental DNA, and this then using geostatistic models and artificial intelligence enrich geospatial and temporal information models to describe and anticipate ocean's health conditions and also patterns and the human activities in the ocean. This is, I believe, a quite ambitious project, and we are at DS Telecom leading the project. University of Minho with 3 different research centers involved, and also in ESCTEC, and of course MIT, the Air Center, the University of Açores, and Sintal as well. So in a nutshell, this is what our project aims for and how it's framed in the current trends.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you so much for such interesting presentations. I'll start some discussion, and I'm going to ask some questions that are general to one or two of you, and then some specific and probably directed to one or the other for more insight information, let us say. So I'll start with Marco. Marco, could you please tell me, what would you expect of the impact of this project, let us say, in the next 3 years?
For NOS, this was actually a very challenging project. So NOS has been investing largely in R&D in the last years. But the way NOS innovates is quite particular to its organization. It basically innovates very close to some other firms in the market with business partnerships, with some specific scientific partnerships in some areas. But NOS didn't have a very large track record in this kind of projects. So it was quite challenging, but it was quite insightful as well. And because what we expect from this project is actually to bring a new knowledge, to open new possibilities to the assets that we have inside NOS. So we know what we have, we know what we can give. We have the infrastructure, we have the data. We have been investing hugely in the last years in data science over that data in order to bring products focused on mobility to several entities, to business, to municipalities, to other public actors. And we know that we have that asset. So, and the way we, simultaneously, we have been investing also, we have been positioning ourselves as a smart city platform operator, in which we actually structure the platform. We sell that platform to municipalities, and then we bring several partners with different capabilities, with different verticals that work alongside NOS in order to bring value to municipalities in what regards to smart cities, to sustainability, to waste management, energy efficiency, whatever. Okay, so but we actually, the kind of solutions that we have been putting inside that platform are solutions that are quite operational, that work, that are not actually exploratory. And the way we look at this opportunity, that was a challenge that came from IST and OBMES, was actually to explore new possibilities in order to bring differentiation to our offer in the market in the medium to long term. And if you look at this kind of partnerships in which we involve with MIT or in other projects they involve with other international institutions, actually we are operating in the frontier of knowledge at the international level. So we know that for sure the kind of solutions, the kind of research, the kind of products that we can come up out of these projects, they will be competitive at the international scale. And this is quite exploratory, even the kind of solutions and the way they will work, the way they can be sold in 3 or 4 years' time. But for sure, we know that we are building assets, we are building knowledge, we are going to build technologies that are capable of being quite differentiated in the market and can actually bring value not just for NOS, but also for its customers. So it's two ways. So it's business opportunity to engage in new networks, to bring new possibilities, and actually not just think about this project, but think about the insertion, our insertion in a network that can put us in a different networks in the future and to expand the kind of knowledge that you can bring to the organization.
Thank you. Well, Katarina, can you hear us? Well, being
Yes.
your project, having your project with such an important social impact, what is your expectations of that same impact, let us say 3 years from now?
So I think we have this social component. So we intend to contribute to this shift of the industry. So to modernize the industrial sector, not only in Portugal, but only in Europe. So we are targeting at least the European market that relies in many industries which are key to the European economies. So we think we can contribute to this shift and also to create self-awareness. So the worker can be aware of the way he is doing her job. So to improve his productivity, to improve the way he performs the tasks, to be more productive on one side, but also taking care of his health, because we have a workforce getting older and a shortage of workforce for the industries, and we should look ahead and find ways to provide a better quality in the performance of the industrial jobs. In the other hand, I think we can contribute to the human-robot collaboration. So we must think that the industry will improve and will introduce more robotization in its processes. And I think that by improving and providing this self-awareness, we can make clear to the worker that the introduction of robots can be good and not only taking their jobs away. So I think this is an important awareness that our project can bring to the society. I think this is the main impact that we look forward.
Thank you, Catarina. Can I have Rui Costa?
Hello? Yeah.
Hi, Rui Costa. Well, I'll ask you more or less the same. Being with 5G and all the fast-moving technology innovation that's going on, what do you expect the impact of this project will be in the next, 3 years from now, let us say, not in the next 3 years?
Okay, well, 3-4 years from now, we see it as our midterm objective, and our midterm objective is very clear. Well, to initiate a city-scale deployment with tens, at least, so hopefully hundreds of 5G sites with this wireless backhauling that is our main feature. So, and in which deployment we can enable real 5G use cases, such as leveraging the implementation of safe mobility scenarios.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'll ask Sergio Tavares. As you said, you don't make very appealing transformers. So, since you're doing this type of project, what's the importance of having MIT here along with the project. What's the importance of MIT for you?
In Transformer 4.0, the MIT institute that participate is the Engineering Systems Research Institute, coordinated by Professor Donna Rolls. And here we start to look how to improve our approach to gather knowledge during the different phase of the life cycle of the product. So for that, we start to analyze how can integrate qualitative and quantitative data, information and knowledge to create a full digital twin that can simulate the different phase of the transformer product. So for that, they look to approach that we typically don't use in the past, so we can improve our process internally with this approach, like the model-based system engineering. That is an approach that is based on a model-centric, that we integrate data from different sources, and all people can look on that and try to figure out how can improve their job during the product design and during the product operation. So I think that is very interesting, this interaction with MIT, and we think that will be very useful on the future.
Thank you. And now I'll go on to Gustavo Diaz and ask you the same questions. How important is MIT in this project?
Well, it's of course very relevant and quite important. I think the intervention of MIT is broadly at two levels. The first level is more focused on the systems engineering approach, and we have a good collaboration with Maria Young on that topic, and we'll need stronger and more robust methods to be able to tackle the challenges of a very complex problem like putting together a small satellite. This is one aspect. And the other more relevant is focus on the sensors that we are developing for satellites. And the basic science and technology comes from the group of Luis Velasquez, which will bring the sensorization, and from that we'll try to prototype at least at the level of an engineering model to test it in a lab, those sensors. So this is also an important aspect. Not so relevant, but also important. Other technologies relevant to optimization of structure based on topologic optimization and also related technologies will bring also robust collaboration with us and with the rest of the Portuguese consortium.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll ask João Negrais de Matos a different question. Knowing the DST business units, so you're much into engineering and construction, and now you're going to a different area. And what does this project mean for the strategy and positioning of DST group? Because we all know it as being very much related with construction.
Yes, actually, the ST group is more recognized by engineering and construction, but we have a telecommunication operation, which is DS Telecom. We are a wholesale fiber optic operator, so we operate in low-density areas. So we are connecting communities inland in Portugal that are unserved. So we have the experience of developing and operating fiber optic networks on land, and this, for us, this project, I think we are in a privileged position for this project, because I think what our stakeholders review on us is that we have the technical capacity and the innovative skills to create new solutions in telecom. Also the neutrality, that our customers rely that we are neutral, and that's why we have all operators with us. And also we are very strongly committed with sustainable development. So I think these three characteristics put us in a very good position to go through with this project. And our goal, our aim, is to become an operator of submarine cables, especially in Portugal, of course. That's what we would like to operate. But if elsewhere, it's also something that we would envision. We're a neutral operator, a carrier of carriers and submarine cables, and it's a next natural move.
Thank you. And finally, José Freitas, would you like to tell us a little bit more about this EROS constellation? How can it be a useful tool for Portugal? Because we're talking about inclusive ocean surveillance. How do you think that this can be an important benefit for our country?
Thank you. Well, I would like to say it can be a tool as a technical means, but also a tool as an ecosystem means. First, I'd like to say I forgot Collab Atlantic as a partner, so sorry for that. No, call. So first of all, it will be definitely a tool, because it will be airborne, and it's one of the prerogatives, so we'll demonstrate it in operation. First, it addresses requirements that are important to us, so both sides of the Atlantic, and it will be put in an orbit which favors the Atlantic. You can have Earth observation, so it's a low Earth observation, so something between 500 kilometers and 2,000 kilometers high, so we'll circle around the Earth. So the orbit will be, let's say, favorable to these conditions. We have entities in Portugal that are able to exploit this data. We have lots of research institutions well known for their skills. There will be a commercial business plan, so this will be a sustainable business which will deliver sustainability. So sustainability in terms of United Nations development goals, this kind of stuff. And companies will deliver business, and I think the national ecosystem is also important, because we've seen that among our consortium we have, let's say, good overlap. So we are teams in one consortium, your consortium have team members. So we have an ecosystem here. And this, I think, is what is important, because from the space point of view, the old rocket science space is no more. And Portugal is now entering a space phase. We have a Portugal agency where we can build from scratch a satellite in Portugal. We have people building sensors, assembling new mechanisms for manufacturing, have avionics, in case of Edisoft. We have national infrastructure like the Azores Teleport, which is operated by Edisoft. So many tools. And this is the time that we can do a whole complete value chain from the research until the operation and commercial exploitation. And this involves all partners here. And I would like to say it could be that the EROS nanosatellite is the first Earth observation satellite ever from Portugal. May not be, there are other initiatives, but the next one will be the first. So if maybe in 2022 it's the first. Hopefully there are more, but the next will mark this. And it could be, who knows, that this satellite might even be launched from Portugal. So this is a mark that will allow us to build mass. We will work together. We have an ecosystem which will benefit from other space initiatives. And this will be, I would say, an aggregator of the science, the business, and the industry. Benefits to not only Portugal, will make Portugal as a contributor and a key contributor to European initiatives. I would like to highlight one good point from you, Sergio, was digital twins. So digital twins is not just equipment. There is a prerogative from the European Union or Commission from digital twin Earths, which is basically the same concept. You build a, say, byte model of the Earth, much more complex than, let's say, a piece of equipment. But this is only feasible if you bring data and analyze it and create, feed into, let's say, very complex models. I think this is my answer to the question.
Thank you very much. We'll now have, I think, some questions from outside, and we'll try to get them now.
So we are receiving some questions from the chat in YouTube. And Sergio Fernandez is asking Rui Costa from Ubiware, what spectrum will you use to be able to backhaul the 5G? Capabilities do you want to achieve on terms of bandwidth, wind, and how far?
Okay, so well, right now we are using temporary licenses from ANACOM, our Portuguese regulator. And essentially we are using sub 6 gigahertz, but in the next couple of years, we expect to use unlicensed 60 gigahertz. So in some other projects, research projects that we have in the scope of Horizon 2020, so some partners are working from 60 to 300 gigahertz, and well, it's something that we are considering in our project. I don't know if Sergio can follow up on this, if he has some other questions. But for sure, so it will be line of sight, for sure.
Sergio Fernandes has another question, but directed to João Matos.
Okay.
With the end of the life of the cam ring and its replacement schedule for 2025, it will not be strategic for the country to integrate the resulting from this project in this new submarine cable?
Yes, we believe that this project and developing the capabilities to monitor and collect information of the oceans, and particularly of our exclusive economic zone, is quite strategic, and I think would be a big improvement in the replacement of the cam ring.
Okay, so there is one more question, this time from Samuel Muniz, and it's for the whole speakers. So, products and processes are becoming more and more complex. Meanwhile, we must care for our planet. In your opinion, what will be the major contributions of the digital trends to the climate change issue?
I think we'll go like this. If any of you will feel free to answer that, because it's an open question. Sergio, would you like to go ahead?
From the power transformers point of view, power transformers are very efficient machines nowadays. They have efficiency higher than 99%. Nevertheless, these digital twins, and speaking with our clients, can improve their operations. Because if you have a full digital twin of these machines, we can improve the efficiencies of the energy networks, because we can manage in a more efficient way the substations that give energy, electrical energy to all of us. So this project can have interesting impact on that due to the better management and optimization possibilities using digital twins.
Mark, would you like to go ahead? You lost your micro.
Micro
Thank you. Anybody else would like to share?
Well, it's a very big question. I will not be so ambitious. I will focus on specific uses of digital twins. And we as a company, we have at least 10 years of developing digital twins for specific areas. So the point that normally this type of digitalization brings is to improve the resources and to improve the usage of specific resources, and typically to improve one of the big applications of digital twins are improving the maintenance of systems. So with a point-wise measurement of some sensors, we can have a global view of the behavior of all the systems. This is one of the major things that can come from the digital twin. On the other hand, digital twins are computer intensive. We need high performance computing. For that, we need energy. So if everything is a digital twin, of course, there is a balance on the things that we are saving and the things that we are increasing. So it's not exactly a very easy question to answer bluntly, but I think this is one of the aspects that is important.
Thank you. José Freitas, let's see.
Also an easy answer, so you cannot manage what you cannot measure. What this constellation brings is more data, more frequent, more integrated, so you have multiple sensors on one satellite. We know it went on that spot and collected measures, this and that. And as the cost is lower and development time, you can just multiply. As you get obviously more normalized data, all digital, we're using new computational means, such big data, artificial intelligence, this kind of thing. We feed models which are able to extract more, let's say, higher confidence levels, which by itself integrate with other models. And you cannot say that there is no pollution because you didn't see it. It will be more obvious, each one, so you cannot feed more conspiracy theories saying the climate change is bogus. I mean, all these things will die because you just eliminate ignorance. There will be no, say, voluntary ignorance because data is there. And the whole digital transformation, how data is processed to study the Earth, will be, I say, vastly will take vast benefit from this type of sensors.
Thank you. And João?
Well, I think in our case, the linkage is quite obvious. Furthermore, we will be taking opportunity of using an infrastructure that already exists and is in place to collect information. So it's the same as the arrows. If you don't know, if you don't measure, you cannot manage. So it's basically it's a perfect fit of an example of how digitalization can improve climate change and the fight with climate change.
Thank you. I don't know if Catarina and Rui would like to share your opinion. Catarina, go ahead.
I think that in general, digital transformation can have an impact to turn the industrial processes more efficient. So in the use of resources, if we have all the steps digitalized, and if we know in what steps we can improve the efficiency in the use of resources or even the process, having this information, we can get more informed decisions and take actions to reduce and optimize the use of resources. So in certain way, I think this digitalization, this process can contribute to the sustainable development of the industry and then the society. So this has a direct impact in the society itself. So I think the key is the use of resources. So optimize, since we have limited resources, we have to optimize it and use in the better way possible.
Thank you.
Well, if I may.
Rui, are you there?
If I may. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So, and in the case of SNOP, I really believe that SNOP can play a decisive role in this digital transformation, new processes and essentially process in the scope of a city that wants to transform itself, and by incorporating technology, it has to have a lot of interventions, physical interventions in the city, well, using our new technology, I believe we can really have lower impact in terms of sustainability and nature.
Thank you. Well, I think we're near the end. I don't think there's any more questions.
There is actually one
Oh.
more question open
Okay.
for everyone. And the question is, how can these flagship projects be a platform for other European projects? It's an open question for everybody.
Anybody would like to start? Okay, go ahead.
That's a very good question.
That's an important question.
Yeah, I can, for the sake of space, I will have to center this in space. So Portugal has been a member of European Space Union for about 20 years, and we have something like 0.7% budget, and most of budget is put by 4 countries. Well, but we've been with this small amount, we have been building a lot of technologies, competences, skills, etc. So many companies are specialized in either sensors, avionics, manufacturing, electronics. I can say I have never heard of a bankruptcy of a space company in Portugal. Tell me another sector where this can be true. Point is that now is the time for these companies to build something together. There has been never any incentive for companies to build together because all the 100 million missions, 200 million euro missions, obviously led by France, Italy, Germany. Some of these countries were belligerents in the Second World War. That's where space started, as we all know. And now we have the option for these projects, these European projects, so ESA, EUMETSAT, etc., to feed in, because everything we learn there or develop is now, we can build the pieces and be an actor. Portugal becomes an actor in space. On the other hand, the Green Deal, the Horizon 2030, Horizon Europe, and this digital twin Earth, now we can play a bigger role. And so what we do now, instead of just participating, we now can deliver and be an actor. So this is the role with European projects, not just the funding, but now we can be more active and take a more stakeholder role.
Thank you.
Well, adding a little bit to what was said, so I think we need a follow-up question is what we mean by European projects. So they are the European projects focused on research of development. So I believe every company has its own technology roadmap and will be quite attentive to those opportunities to extend the reach of the work that is being done on these flagship projects. This is one angle, and we are attentive to that. On the other hand, is what José told us, is to be part of, to have bigger roles in European space programs. We are talking about the same vertical. And that, at this point, I think Portugal is more near than that than ever was. That's the truth. And they are looking at us as a potential supplier of specific things, perhaps not all the global aspects of the mission, but there are some companies with good track record in a lot of space programs in the near past, and we have good news to announce. I think in the last 3 months we have announced the participation in at least 2 missions, and with a very important and relevant participation from Portuguese companies. So, as an ecosystem, I think we are in a better position to be part of those missions and to supply technology, services, knowledge. And I have also to add to José that through ESA, the participation of companies and institutions in ESA programs was also a very important learning phase for most of the companies, that most of them start from scratch, and now they are quite competitive in their specific areas. And of course, they can contribute to these bigger programs that are coming in our way here in Europe, and also not in Europe, between Europe and even the United States. There are programs that are jointly developed, and Portugal can have a bigger role on those programs. So on that regard, I think there are two different things, I think.
Anybody else? Okay. Okay.
I think it's key. As I said, when we look at this project and this opportunity, we look at it also as a way to be inserted in other networks. So this can be a very interesting network in the sense that we, as I said, we are operating in the frontier of knowledge at the international level. When we work with this kind of partnerships with MIT, we can make sure that we are operating at the frontier of knowledge and frontier of technology. So if we make sure that we are within this network of MIT, for sure, when we look at the calls of Green Deal, the opportunities there, we will be much better positioned in order to be inserted in those European networks, because we know that we have good ideas, we have good projects, we have good pilots going on, and these networks that are being formed at the European level, for example, for the Green Deal, they will see, maybe in us or other partners of the project, some value added in terms of competences, in terms of skills, in terms of ideas, in terms of local pilots, that will be a value added for the project. So I think it's very, very interesting, this, at least in the perspective of NOS, the insertion in the MIT program as a way to be better qualified for international opportunities in the H2020 or the future Horizon Europe.
Thank you. Well, I guess we're near the end, and I would like to thank our speakers.
Well, before the end, I'm sorry, just one last question from Magnus
Sorry, it's
Larsson.
not the end.
I'm sorry. From Magnus Larsson to João Matos, what is the biggest challenge in handling big data?
That's a big question. Well,
you have 2 minutes.
Yes, I think the computer capacity is one of them. And then having the appropriate data scientists to treat that data to create the appropriate linkage between all the data. I think those are the two main elements. The machine element, having computer capacity, and also having the proper human capital to address those challenges.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? I guess not anymore. So thank you very much for all the speakers here, 5 here with us and 2 remotely, for such inspiring contributions. It really pleases me as Portuguese, seeing that finally Portugal is on the right path. We have a long way to go ahead, which is good. Will keep us busy, will keep us motivated. And of course, I would like to thank MIT Portugal program for such interesting event today, and thank you for being invited here again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Isabel Furtado and all the speakers. We will now make a break for lunch. We will return at 2 p.m. for a session on the topic Earth Systems, Oceans to Near Space. We kindly ask you to leave the auditorium in an orderly, socially distanced manner. Thank you.